Kobeni sucks. Kobeni sucks really bad.
But then the other thing that I think is not as noticeable, but equally just as important, is when Denji says, "Hello everybody, welcome to our Chainsaw Man special of Life is Daijoubu." Today we're going to be talking about episode 6 of Chainsaw Man. I said that kind of funny. Episode.
Talking about episode.
My name is Cole and I'm joined by Skylar and Thane. And yeah, we're going to be talking about episode 6. I cut you off.
You don't even get to say hi.
You were going to
anymore,
say
Thane.
something silly, weren't you?
No, I just went,
Oh.
I thought you were going to say
I thought he was
hi.
going to say something silly, so I kept just steamrolling
I just did a
over.
weird moan.
Yeah. Yeah, episode 6 of Chainsaw Man. We're halfway through the season.
Woo.
Or the part, or whatever they're going to call it. I guess we'll find out.
And then we're
in the
going to wait a
future.
year. Not confirmed.
Yeah, not confirmed, but probably a year. Yeah, so episode 6 of Chainsaw Man. We're going to do our normal setup / layout, where we're going to talk about the episode without spoilers. About halfway through this episode of the podcast, we're going to switch over to full-on spoilers, and at the very end, just for fun, we're going to talk about the latest chapter of Chainsaw Man, because that came out today as well, just like every other Tuesday for the last 6 weeks.
Big yikes.
Yeah.
No. Big. I didn't read it.
Oh, you didn't read
I
it?
forgot.
Oh, I thought you were just really reacting to the chapter.
I can go real quick if you guys would like to
Yeah.
talk.
You should read it.
He's going to read it live, everybody.
Okay.
Big yikes. I knew I forgot something today. it was like after I finished the episode and then we did all our stuff, I was just like, man, I'm forgetting something.
Well, while he's reading the chapter, let me just give you a little bit of an explanation of what is happening in this episode of Chainsaw Man. So, episode 6 of Chainsaw Man covers chapter 15, halfway through it, so I guess he'll say 15.5 or 15 and a half, all the way to halfway through 18. So, roughly 3 chapters of the manga, which has been the typical pace of what it's been doing for the whole season. And honestly, this one felt like it went very, very fast for me anyway.
Yeah, it was faster.
And it was mostly just them complaining and like saying, we need to get out of here. Let's kill Denji. We got to kill Denji.
I just remember reading this originally and thinking that the whole arc happened very fast, and then to watch the episode and only like half of the arc has happened, and then to realize that that was actually 3 chapters. That's the typical pace for the anime. It was kind of surprising for me.
Yeah.
So just in recap, this is the very beginning of the Eternity Devil arc. It's kind of weird calling it an arc because it really is just going to be 2 episodes of the anime. I'm almost positive
There's
they're
lots
finishing
of
it next
shows.
episode.
There's lots of shows that just do like 2 episode arcs or even 1 episode arcs.
Well, even like in the manga,
Yeah.
it feels kind of weird calling it an arc in hindsight, knowing how short it actually is.
Yeah.
This arc honestly felt super long while I was reading it, but definitely in hindsight, it's much shorter. But yeah, so it's the Eternity Devil. It's the Eternity Devil arc. The group, they will go into a hotel to find a devil with a piece of the bullet, the piece of the gun devil's body, his flesh, I guess. I don't know what you'd call it, but it's a piece of it rather. I don't think it's gendered, but it's an it. Most devils are its, and scary. So yeah, they get to the hotel and nothing really happens, and all of a sudden they're stuck in it on a floor 8, which has a lot of significance. The 8s have a lot of significance, which is very interesting. Yeah, and I guess that's the beginning of the episode, and then they just learned more about their situation. And the very end of the episode, as you remember, because we probably watched it just like a day ago, Denji jumps in the mouth of the Eternity Devil. Cool. You got it read?
Kobeni sucks. Kobeni sucks really bad
Oh.
for the episode. Yeah, I got it
It's
read.
just like, she's not
I like-
in the chapter at all. I don't know what you're talking
No,
about.
yeah.
I like the noises she makes. I like the voice actress. She was-
She's like really freaking out the
Yeah.
whole time.
So, I don't remember if there's backstory on her or not, but how the freak did she become a devil hunter?
She briefly
Yeah, she
mentions her
briefly says it in this
backstory
episode.
where she's like, it was either devil hunter. I wanted to go
or
to college.
or a
So-
sex worker.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's like no other backstory, right? Like, how did they let her in?
She's
I guess
got
is my question.
Oh, I don't think anybody can do it.
Oh. I guess 'cause they're
also,
like, yeah, you're probably gonna die.
Hayakawa in the last episode said she's strong, but she's
Scared.
yeah, she's strong, but she's scared. It's like so
Well,
it kind of
man, they
hints.
and I'm assuming it's 1-for-1 what they have in the manga, but this episode really showed you how bad she sucks.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting. I think the anime it does a little bit differently. The manga makes it almost more comedic, whereas this one it's more of a like an actual kind of
It has like a very dark tone.
like a dark tone, yeah. Which is very an interesting tone shift. That said, I think that this anime adaptation, or rather just the adaptation of these 3 chapters, is spot on. I think it's incredible. I think it far outshines the manga, these 3 chapters anyway.
Yeah.
There might be other things in the manga that I've thought were better in the manga than the anime. This specifically so far better in the anime. Everything about it, the camera work, the tone, just the layout and everything, like much better. There are some 1-for-1 shots, but like the way I don't know what to call it because it's not filmed like that, but you know, it's like filmed and like they get the specific shots and specific angles and stuff, and obviously it's animation, so it's not filmed, but I don't know what else to call it. But the way that they shoot it, the way they have each of the different shots is very, very, very well done, I think. I think it's much better than the manga for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could just say how they frame each.
Framed it, yeah.
they frame
I
it
like
all.
that. That's better.
They have a cinematographer's sense of mind.
Totally, yeah. That's what it is.
I think I don't know the process, but I think one of the processes they actually have people act it out, so they got to rotoscope it and they just kind of film.
Oh, you think that they did that?
That's probably the easiest way to do it because they could just kind of trace over it afterwards.
The very very beginning before the intro starts playing on, very good. That's probably my favorite part of the whole episode is right before the actual intro starts playing, because the music in the background is extra tense. Like they said with the cinematography, it's done in such a specific way that feels kind of like horror movie-esque almost. And like the tension is high. The voice acting was incredible. I don't know like what they were doing this episode compared to the previous episodes. The episodes aren't bad prior, but this episode, like, they kicked it up a notch with their voice acting, I thought. It really set the tone for the episode to be like horror and scary, and they're unsure, they're frightened and all that. Which plays into the Eternity Devil, because Eternity is kind of scary in general, you know. That's why it's a devil.
Yeah. What I thought was interesting is everybody's pretty scared. I would even say that Aki's a little bit nervous, but Denji and Power don't really give an F.
They don't care.
Denji passes out. Power's laughing her ass off, and she's just like, I just want to get a Nobel Prize, so Denji, can you go die for me? And Denji's like, you always try to kill me. And I was like, it's like, what the freak? But it's just interesting that, like, Denji's life sucked so bad that even in, this is a horrible situation.
Oh, it's pretty dire.
Yeah, and he's just like, there's a nice bed here. Thanks, devil. I'm going to take a nap.
I'm going to take a
It's
nice
like,
nap.
yeah,
And he freaking does.
And then
everybody's just like, holy
Yeah.
freak, he actually fell asleep.
And then it shows Aki's face, and he's just like, what? Who is this guy? You know what I mean? But, like, I also feel like, and maybe this is just me projecting myself onto to Aki, or putting myself in that situation of, like, maybe that would give me a little bit of comfort, because there's at least somebody that's not freaking out. You know what I mean?
True.
And I think in his head, he's obviously, he already knows. He's like, well, Denji's pretty tough, pretty powerful dude. So maybe in his head, he's like, okay, well, that gives me a little bit of hope that at least this guy's not freaking out, because he is the guy that can do lots of damage and probably kill whatever's going to come after us. He even said it, though, like in the episode where he's like, I need him to kill the gun devil because I can't do it by myself.
True, yeah.
Granted, he did say I need as many devil hunters as I can have, but he saved Denji's life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess before we stray too much about just the filming in general, I just wanted to point out the background music as a whole for this episode was on point the entire time, especially during the flashback. That song that was playing during the flashback with Aki and Himeno, that was a good song. It was just like a chill kind of like lo-fi vibe almost in the background. Ooh, I was digging it. I was like, I'd throw that in a playlist, like a lo-fi playlist. It was good. But yeah, like, I don't know, like I was saying earlier at the very beginning, it just felt like the whole episode went by so fast. they get to the very end when Denji jumps into the Eternity Devil's mouth, and I'm just like, oh, that's where they're ending, because the outro starts playing, and I thought that was the beginning of like the fight or whatever. But then I see credits, and I'm just like, okay, I guess we're done. This is it. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. I love the scene with Aki jumping in front of the knife for Denji for multiple reasons. I really like how it not only like it like not explains, but like I guess hints at, foreshadows like a budding relationship between not just Denji and Aki, but also Power as well. Like you can tell like this is like one of the beginning stepping stones, I guess, to their friendship. I guess minor spoiler, they become friends, which I'm pretty sure it's a given at this point that they're going to be friends. It's kind of just the way any of these kind of like things go, any of the, especially shonens. So like obviously Aki jumping in front of it, that's a pretty big moment for Denji, because Denji sees like, why would this dude save his or risk his life for me? But then the other thing that I think is not as noticeable, but equally just as important, is when Denji says, hey, you're the blood fiend, Power, you should save him.
Yeah.
And Power obviously instantly starts complaining. She does her thing where she goes, no, I don't want to do it, that's lame, blah blah blah. But she instantly, while she's saying all these complaints, is just working on doing it. She doesn't say no, she just said, this is dumb, I'm gonna do it anyway, basically. And I think it's really interesting to note that she doesn't hesitate. As soon as Denji says to do it, she just jumps on and does it.
Yeah.
And so that kind of shows like her role in the whole situation, where she is like essentially their friend now too. So
yeah,
cool stuff.
What's to come too, though, is I mean, obviously you see when Denji jumps in, is it's like, man, all of these people, they tried to kill Denji, or at least Kobeni did. Kobeni, what's the other dude's name?
Who knows, dude?
Background guy that also was freaking out. Like Denji's now risking his life, even though they wanted to kill him. He's just like, okay, fine, whatever, I'll go anyway, you know what I mean? He jumps in, but still in this freaking mind, he turns, he says, I want that makeout when I'm done.
Yeah.
So that's like still in his mind of like, I don't know. I think he's probably doing it a little bit for like, yeah, I mean, I guess, what choice do we have? Also, I kind of want to say my friends, I guess, but I want that makeout.
It's really interesting, because I think he uses that. I've said it before in the podcast prior, how he's got these like goals that he kind of falls back on because he doesn't know what he actually wants in life.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting that you point that out, because he definitely did. Right before he did, that was the last thing he said. Right after saying, why did you save me, Aki?
Yeah.
He literally says it at him, and then he looks back at Himeno's like, I'm still going to make out with you after. And so very, very interesting. He just falls back on the funny Denji that doesn't know what he actually wants in life.
And I guess one more thing before we get off the topic of just, I thought that they're all devil hunters, and yet the first sign of this devil kind of made two of them anyway kind of crumble. And even Himeno was like, Aki's not using the sword, Denji. If it gets to that point, you're going in. Sorry. You know what I mean? So it's like in my head, I'm like, well, obviously maybe they see devil hunters as expendable, but also like you're a devil hunter, you're hunting devils. I don't think the first thing you should do is turn tail and turn on your own. But maybe that's just me. Because don't you think there's more there's worse devils out there than this one?
Sure. But
you just remember, devils can also have a psychological effect, and mortal humans can be very weak-minded.
And that's true. And I think this goes back to where I was asking, how did Kobeni even get in? Obviously, they're probably not vetting these soldiers. They're just like, okay, if you want in, like, want to try to kill devils, whatever, because you're probably going to die.
Kobeni and Big Guy are the only ones who don't have devils, so they're not as...
No, they do.
They do?
Yeah, Kobeni's is secret. You don't know what hers is. I forget what the other guy's is. You do find out later, though.
Oh, okay. Never mind, then. I don't remember
They do make contracts with... Maybe not at this moment they don't have contracts, but they do get contracts at some point. It's just...
Yeah.
It's not very... It's mentioned that they do, but it's not like significant anyway.
Yeah. Okay.
What was I gonna say about this? Oh, I guess to piggyback off what Thane was saying, in defense of it, is like this is the eternity devil as well that they're dealing with. So even more so of a psychological effect. They're starting to really think like, this is it. This is my eternity. This is what we're going to have for the rest of our life until we're dead. Like, this is all we have left. This is what it's going to be. And all of them kind of take it differently. Obviously, Denji and Power are exempt because they're stupid and they're idiots.
Yeah.
But Kobeni instantly starts freaking out to the point where Himeno had to freaking bop her in the head and knock her out. The other dude instantly starts freaking out too when he starts really putting the pieces together that we're going to be stuck here forever. And then Himeno is pretty strong about holding on tight to everything and just like she's like the most like the sane one, I guess, of the group, if that makes any sense. She's the one that kind of holds on until the moment that she sees Aki start dripping blood. She starts freaking out. She loses it because in her whole world, Aki is her whole world essentially, and not like, I don't think it's a romantic sense. Like, there is some undertone of that. I just think it's more of a relationship as friends, and this person's really all she has in her life that is a constant. And that person started to leave, and that became her eternity, that he wouldn't be there.
Yeah, and it also, I mean, in that episode, you get the backstory of, like, maybe it was last episode. I think it was this one.
No, there's this one too.
Where all of her partners kept dying.
You get that last one, but then
a little bit into this one.
It expounds more.
Yeah, because it was like setting that up where in her head, she's just like, man, I must really suck if all my partners keep dying. Like, why can't I keep these guys alive? And so she says it to Aki several times. It's like, don't die.
Yep.
Like, stay alive. That's all I care about, is that you stay alive.
And the final nail in the coffin on the whole subject that we're on is that throughout this episode, before she snaps, she's still saying things like, no, Aki can't die. He can't use the sword. That'll kill him. Kind of things like that. And so it's obvious there from the beginning. And it's one of those like hindsight things that you go, oh, that makes sense why she was so fixated on that, and why she eventually does snap when that fixation falls away too. So very interesting. I like the idea of the psychology of the Infinity Devil. That's right. Eternity. Thank you. It's the same thing basically. Let's be honest. Mm-hmm. And then I guess to wrap up the conversation before we get to the spoiler section, I did wanted to mention, I guess going back to the cinematography, is about how the reason why I think
that sick Inception reference.
Oh, totally. Yeah. That's kind of where I was going for it. The whole like the cinematography, but like the fact that it's an adaptation, an animation, not just a manga panel, and things are moving, you're seeing things happen. I didn't realize while reading the manga that the whole thing had tilted sideways really.
Yeah.
It wasn't until watching this and I kind of put the pieces together that the whole thing tilted sideways. Because in my head, I thought for some reason when Denji jumps in the manga, I thought that was an elevator shaft he was jumping into. But it's not. It's the hallway, essentially. But that whole scene, the whole section, what is that? The whole...
Sequence,
thank you. The whole sequence of the whole hotel tilting sideways, and then you see them across the hall looking at each other, and then all of a sudden they turn around and run back through and come back this way. I thought that was so good, and you do not get that very well in the manga. Like, it's there. I looked later and it was there, but like you don't notice it on a still page that well. Yeah. I just very, very well done. This episode, the cinematography outshone the manga tenfold. I also got some very heavy Shining references
I was gonna say that too.
The Shining,
like the whole thing was very reminiscent for me of the Shining, because they're in a hotel. There's a lot of weird, freaky horror things going on.
So yeah, overall great episode. I'm very excited to see the next episode with the fight and stuff. So it'll be pretty fun. Do you have anything else before we move on, guys, to the spoiler section?
I guess just the last thing I wanted to say, and I guess we kind of touched on it, but it's obviously he's the main character, Denji, but he does so many things where he just throws himself out there, and like at the very end, he's like, I'm going to be the bigger person, I guess, even though he probably doesn't know he's being the bigger person. But he does it so many times where he does things to help his friends, and I feel like that is something that he slowly realizes is like, oh, here's my goal of these people are happy when I save them, and maybe in turn I'm happy because I have friends, you know what I mean? And then like going back to what you said where Aki jumps out in front of the knife, I think that is a big moment that we'll see a lot. Like, we'll see the rippling effects of it later.
Totally. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Anything, Thane?
I like the movie Inception. I was like, oh my god, Inception hallway. I didn't know that.
It definitely has to be a reference to it, especially because they're in a hotel too, and that's what it was in Inception.
And Fujimoto loves his films.
I guess the last thing was I thought the intro song was very but I liked the synth when the synth kicked in.
Oh, the
outro, excuse me.
song.
Yeah, I thought the animation was fun though. It was very exactly what we're watching.
Yeah,
it's still no episode 3.
Yeah.
Episode 3's outro is still my number 1 so far.
Yeah.
Is that the weird one that I didn't know how I felt?
That's the one that's kind of like heavy.
Demon at the name of
Yeah.
devil.
And the animation just is freaking rocking too.
Yeah.
They killed it with both of those. So now we're gonna jump into some spoilers. If you do not want any spoilers for the manga, I suggest you stop listening now, because from here on out, it's just gonna be manga spoiler territory.
Spoil City, baby.
Spoil City, baby. Okay, cool. Now I think you guys are gone. If you don't want spoilers, if you are still here, then you want
Get out.
spoilers. To piggyback off of your last statement, I wanted to bring this up, but it only fits in the spoiler section with the. Oh crap! I just lost it. What was?
Denji's he's the hero, the bigger person. Him and Aki.
Oh, the
Sing.
the ripple effect of him like
Yeah.
doing this for his friends.
Yeah.
Immediately after this arc, we see them in the hospital, and Denji starts contemplating what friendship is and kind of things like that. Would he be okay if people died in his life? I think it'll be literally next episode we're going to see that, where he's going to start talking about what happens if Power dies, or if Aki dies, or if Makima dies. How would I feel about these people dying? Probably wouldn't feel that bad. That's what he says. But then, as we come to know later on, it hits him pretty hard when stuff like that happens.
I always get sad when they talk about the Gun Devil and then show Aki, or anything just revolving around that.
You want to know something mind blowing? Tatsuki Fujimoto says he named Aki after the AK.
I didn't know. That's even more sad.
Yeah.
In hindsight, like, Aki is just a walking death flag. He's literally
Yeah.
Death Flag the character.
Yeah, and it's like, obviously, somebody that knows watches that, and they're just like, oh, there's he's just holding up. The man's got flags sprouting out of his freaking soul.
I didn't really see it because I was in Weekly Shonen Jump mindset. It's like he's the rival character. He can't.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
No, I'm saying in hindsight.
I forgot what manga I'm
Yeah.
reading.
Yeah,
In hindsight, yeah.
I'm saying in hindsight, like us watching this now,
Yeah.
you're like, I see all the red flags, all the death
Yeah.
flags, but when you're reading it in the moment, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, they're there, but you think, well, this guy's like his freaking older brother, but then it's Fujimoto. So
Totally.
like,
I almost wonder if he did so many death flags intentionally as a red herring, essentially.
Yeah.
It kind of makes you think, oh, maybe it's not going to happen.
Especially in this latest chapter with the freaking death flag, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah, for sure. Aki saving Denji in general has a lot of connotations towards the future. It has a lot of foreshadowing to what could potentially happen, and not just the relationship like we talked about pre-spoiler stuff, but like obviously Aki's death scene, like it's very parallel. It's got a lot of parallels to it. Like Aki dies in a sense to make sure Denji doesn't die in the future, just like he does now. Not dies now, but very similar circumstances. One other thing.
Does it show Makima actually like put his body in the gun devil, or just cut where it's like shows the name? And
it's just a cut.
Yeah.
You don't actually see him become it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got two more foreshadowing moments. So the Eternity Devil wanting Denji in general is a foreshadow as a whole, especially when the Eternity Devil says, "Give me the chainsaw" or whatever. It's kind of like all of the devils have the thing towards the chainsaw devil. It's one of their, it's like the pedestal devil almost, which is why Makima wants it so bad as well. It's a very common thing. So that right there almost foreshadows Makima as a character in a sense. And then the last thing I have is Denji saying before he jumps in, he says something along the lines of like, "Let's give it hell" or something, which is a pretty, I swear this has to be a reference, but I'm pretty sure it's a clear reference to the fact that the Chainsaw Devil is known in hell to all the other devils as like the destroyer, like the one, like they're afraid of this thing because if they
Yeah.
die
If
by
he
the
eats
chainsaw
her,
man,
the
they're kind of
destroyer.
gone. And so
That's
saying
just if
that,
he eats him, right?
you have to eat some. Yeah,
Because if you kill a devil in hell, nothing happens.
it
right?
goes to it's born into.
Oh, that's
life.
right. It goes back.
They call him the hero of hell while he's down there, and that's so it's kind of like it's an interesting like nod to that whole idea in general. Pretty fun though. I'm trying to look even more so for foreshadowing things. I'm gonna try to do that from here on out, so I could try to bring them up here. But those are the ones I had for this week.
It's funny. Kobeni saying like it was a sex worker devil hunter, and after all the arcs, after all the trauma, she just gets a job at like McDonald's.
Oh, totally. She's just like,
it's
yeah.
It's like, I didn't need to suck dick for $5 a pop.
I just make a burger. That's
and now,
it.
if this was a scene in manga, I don't know if Fujimoto would like just like add like a scene where she's just like coming out of like a hotel room like after getting smashed,
and then puts on a burger outfit.
Yeah, yeah.
And I guess to go back to me complaining a little bit about how she sucked so bad in this episode, like I get it. There's drama that needs to ensue as well, and she was a catalyst for it. And it's really not that big of a deal. Obviously, I think Denji could take a knife to the chest and be fine or
Totally.
whatever. He's just like,
Yeah.
ouch. But I don't know. Maybe that's just something I
would've-
shouldn't look too
He
much
would have
into.
taken a knife and then punched her right in the face.
Yeah, because really the devil hunters, like some of them are pretty badass, but like most of them die. I mean,
Yeah.
Himeno's had 4 dead friends already or whatever. So
buddies.
yeah,
Oh, I guess one other note that I just remembered is Himeno also mentions her master, which is Kishibe. Like she says something word for word that he says. Like when she's talking to Aki in the flashback, she says something along the lines of how
Kishibe had death flags. I was like, a mentor character. It seems like he's gonna die, but he survives.
yeah, he does. She says something along the lines of how like the devils aren't afraid of any of the devil hunters except for the ones that are crazy themselves.
Yeah.
That's something Kishibe says later on to Power and Denji when he's like in their little mini training arc.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting note that I didn't really realize this until now, that Kishibe was the one that essentially trained Himeno. So that's kind of a fun fact of the show, I guess. A lore fun fact.
and it seems like that is probably something that doesn't happen very often because they don't live very long.
How old is Kishibe supposed to be?
I think he's 50s or 60s.
Yeah, he looks
I don't
pretty
remember.
old. He's probably been around for a while.
Yeah.
But then that makes you wonder how many years has the devil organized hunting organization, or at least the discovery of devils, been? Is this show in the future?
No,
In the-
this show is set in the I think it's the 90s. I think it's set in
Oh.
the 90s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'd have to look it up.
I believe
But-
it's the 90s.
Yeah, it makes you wonder like how long devils have been public for, and usually most shonen or even shows of this type with devils, it's usually like in secret, like we work in the shadows to
Totally.
make sure, but like
This is
it's
up
all
front center.
public.
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, do you guys have any other spoiler conversations before we decide to talk about the chapter a little bit?
Not really.
Cool.
Mhm.
Well, we're going to talk about the latest chapter just to end up the episode. So if you've not read it, then I guess this
It's
is where
free
you end
on the Viz.
Yeah, you can read it
Viz's
for free.
website. Yeah.
on the Viz app and all
Yeah.
that. This chapter.
Wait, let me. You know that meme where it's like Pedro Pascal laughing? He's like doing the ah ha ha, and then he cries. That's this whole chapter.
Yeah. Totally. So I'm curious about Skylar's thoughts after reading it in a span of 3 minutes. What do you think about the chapter?
It's like sad, but also it's like I don't know. I don't care about her.
She had a major death flag. It's like, I promise I'll bring these sneakers back, and then someone assumed. I don't think that's Chainsaw Man
No.
because literally they show Denji sleeping. I assume it's the girl with like the whatever these earrings. What is it called?
The ripcord?
The ripcord earrings. Assume it's her because like she has ripcords on her ears, so it's like she must be some kind of mimic devil or like some kind of like, I can't really like.
But isn't isn't this her? I have the panel pulled up. Isn't this her?
No, that's
Who's that?
us.
No,
Well, that's
Us is lower. Who's
That's
this?
the bully girl.
This is the bully?
Yeah, the one who she saved at the end of the
Okay. I thought this was the one that walked in the
No.
last second. Okay.
No, she looks more flashy.
Gotcha.
Like, it's kind of hard to tell.
I just didn't
differentiate
recognize
hair
that
colors
person.
in black and white. Yeah,
I didn't recognize that one at all.
she's the one. She was about to get killed by I can't remember the girl's name.
the main the
technical girl's name.
Yeah, her friend, Asa's friend.
Yeah, Oss's friend, and before Chainsaw Man jumped in,
Yeah.
that was that girl. So, yeah, there's a lot of mystery because now, like, I assume that this girl's gonna mess up stuff and
Make Chainsaw Man be bad and eat
yeah,
people.
make Chainsaw Man look like the villain.
He's gonna
Yeah.
they're gonna eat some people, make Chainsaw Man bad.
And then it's not gonna be. I feel like it's not gonna be a happy ending either. It's gonna be Oss is gonna die, or Denji's gonna die, or they're both gonna die.
Yeah.
This chick got full circle though, like with getting shoes, because she was the one that gave Asa shoes
Yeah.
in the beginning.
Yeah,
So it was like, after I read that part, I was like, oh, she's dead.
yeah.
She's her character arc's done.
The shoes represented a character arc.
Because it was sad because it was Oss's friend, and she was trying to turn her life around. It's like, I got a devil on her relatives. I'll try to turn around. It's like, oh, that's nice. And then
Oh, that's nice.
Her
Yeah.
intentions were admirable, but her execution was horrendous.
Very bad.
I don't think she expected to get intercepted by a fake Chainsaw Man.
Yeah. Well, when I read it, I didn't realize that was a fake Chainsaw Man because I didn't realize that was Denji in the previous panel until looking at it over.
Yeah, I saw that how
What is the shadow of?
how I
It
saw
looks
it.
like Chainsaw Man. Like you'd expect it to be Chainsaw Man, but the head even says Chainsaw Man ?
Yeah.
And then Denji's right here sleeping. You can tell he's got the duggies
Yeah.
and he's got the new control devil chilling.
I want to see the arm.
Oh, you can see he's got the blades are receded into the arm. So that's normal. That's what it would normally do
Yeah.
too. So like that's the other reason I saw that and just assumed it actually was Denji. But yeah, going back, there's no way it's Denji. It shows him sleeping.
It's
Got the little duggies.
yeah. When I saw that,
There's
I
two
flipped it.
Chainsaw Mans. There's Chainsaw Men, or is it a
Yeah.
Chainsaw Woman?
This is Chainsaw Man 2, right?
It could be
Yeah.
Chainsaw Woman.
So yeah, when I first flipped through that, I was like, oh look, they're all sleeping. It's like, huh, why is she in that position? And it's like, and it's like, uh-oh, and I flip it and I see her head on the ground. I was like, oh fuck.
It'll be fun to see what happens next. I think this obviously is the start of the new arc of whoever this person is.
Totally. The
Yeah.
fake Chainsaw Man potentially. Well, cool. I think that pretty much wraps it up then. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
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 Well, that is it for today's special episode, bonus episode of Life is Daijoubu, the Chainsaw Man bonus episodes, whatever we're calling them. It's too long of a name. I don't know why I decided to name it like this. But thank you guys for watching or listening. We hope you guys have a great rest of your week. Check out next week's episode. And then next week, if you're watching along with us, we're watching Science Fell in Love, so I tried to prove it. So we'll be talking about that next, not this coming Friday, but the Friday after. So I guess Black Friday, if you want to call it that, or the Friday after Thanksgiving. The one where people go out and shop a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, so thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching. We hope you guys have a good one. And have a great life.
Yeah.
I don't know how to end it.
Don't
One of
bully
these days.
people.
Yeah, don't bully people. You'll
Yeah.
get killed by a devil.
Yeah.